Hey, your friendly neighborhood geek here doing another, excuse me, OVA review. Also, I'm a little under the weather, so I apologize if I cough, excuse me, in between this video. So sorry. Yes, so I'm talking about, for the first time, I'm talking about a Dragon Ball Z piece of media. I tend not to talk about something that's mainstream. Of course, by now, I'm sure everybody knows what Dragon Ball is. One of the most well-known, iconic anime and manga series in the entire world. Um, but this piece of, excuse me, Dragon Ball media specifically, always really appealed to me, and I always thought it was really cool. Um, so yeah, I am talking about Dragon Ball Z, plan to eradicate the Super Saiyans, which originated as a RPG card based RPG type of game way back in '93, I believe. Excuse me. It never, to my knowledge, it was never brought over to the West during that time. So it was kind of like a Japan only type of thing. I believe the reason for it being created was because at the time, I think in Japan, the anime had caught up with the manga. So in order for them to have something new to, I guess, release, like, anime wise, they came up with the concept of the plan to eradicate the Super Saiyans. Uh, oh, excuse me. So, in 2010, I believe, when Raging Blast 2 came out, that's probably where modern DBZ fans, for anyone who played the Raging Blast games, got familiar with the villain Hachiyak, who is the big red guy you see behind me, or behind the Z Fighters. Um, yeah, like he appeared in that game. Plan to eradicate the Super Saiyans was kind of remade as an OVA, which was kind of had a shorter length and kind of cut out a lot of the video game elements that was in the original adaptation. Um, so yeah, it was an OVA, like 40 minutes. I think it's on YouTube, that you can watch it if you've never seen it. And once you finish the OVA in the game, I think that would unlock Hachiyak as a playable character, which was pretty cool. I mean, he had a decent move set. Again, one thing I like off topic I like about Raging Blast 2, we saw a lot of characters who we haven't seen before or after a Dragon Ball game. I mean, we had Cooler's Armored Squadron, we had Android 13, 14, and 15. Android 13 has appeared in other Dragon Ball games, but this was the first time we saw 14 and 15. Super Saiyan 3 Broly, Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. So, we got versions of characters who were never, excuse me, in a Dragon Ball game before. So, what is the story for this anime, excuse me, OVA about? Well, excuse me, apparently years ago, the Saiyans, before Planet Vegeta was called Planet Vegeta, I believe it was called Planet Plant. Apparently, they took over a planet that was inhabited by another race of advanced people. But because of the Saiyans, strength and being able to turn to great apes, they were able to overthrow, and I guess, K-word, this race of um, people or whatever. I believe they at one point maybe learned to coexist with the race, but then eventually they just took over altogether. Dr. Lychee was a scientist who was part of this race of people that the Saiyans overthrew. And he created some type of device that was basically able to was able to like bring him back as like a ghost or something. So somehow he found his way to Earth, and he created this device. The device was let out all this type of toxic kind of like smoke type of stuff into the air, making it difficult for people to breathe. In the OVA that was on the Raging Blast game, Bulma discovered it, and and told the Z Fighters, being Goku, Piccolo, Gohan, Trunks, Vegeta, Krillin, Tien, Yamcha, Chaozu aren't in this OVA. She notifies them of what's going on. Of course, they go and investigate. So in the OVA, there's only one machine that's generating this toxic smoke, and Bulma is working on like a not a cure, but she's working on something to use to combat the smoke and get rid of it and get it out of the air. In the original game, there was like several generators that were making the smoke, and the Z Fighters were having to travel all around the world to destroy them. So when they arrive to destroy the generator, they come across Ghost Warriors, which I don't know if it's fully explained how there are Ghost Warriors, but basically they fight versions of Frieza, Cooler, Turtles, and Lord Slug. Are they the real ghosts of these characters? I don't know if that's ever specified, or they're just like copies of them. But the Z Fighters kind of lose because of the smoke in the air has made them weaker. But once Bulma arrives with the creation she made to get rid of the smoke, they regain their strength and they're able to defeat the Ghost Warriors once and for all. So finally, they track down Dr. Lychee's hideout. He is confronted. Of course, since he's a ghost, they're easily able to defeat him. Before he is defeated, he's able to activate Hachiyak, who, of course, whoops the Z Fighters' asses. Well, you know, that happens. So ignore that notification if you heard it. But yeah, Hachiyak whoops their butts. They kind of have to like kind of regroup, try to figure out how they're going to stop him. In the original game, there were multiple endings apparently. So I think you could have got a bad ending. You could have got a good ending. Could have got an ending where Hachiyak had a transformation that was stronger than his base form, which made the situation even more difficult for the Z Fighters. None of that happens, and the OVA is kind of more straightforward, like a traditional Dragon Ball movie. So they do manage to overpower Hachiyak and defeat him once and for all, and save the day. And that's kind of the basis of Plan to Eradicate the Saiyans. There's a little bit more information, but there's like a 40-minute video on YouTube of a YouTuber going into way more detail about the OVA, the video game, and the history behind it. So if you're interested in knowing more, you can check out that video, or just go to the fandom and read up on, you know, the information in like Cliff Note format. But like I said, I like it for what it is. It's really cool. Really creative. I mean, yeah, it's straightforward, but I don't care. It's still very charming. I like the history behind this OVA. And yeah, it's just really cool. I mean, Hachiyak is a very cool looking character. I mean, the story of, you know, like the concept of a race of people wanting to seek revenge on the Saiyans, you know, for what they did to their planet in the race, you know, and getting revenge on Goku and company, who technically had nothing to do with what happened all those years ago and are living on a totally different planet. You know, it's kind of, I think that's a cool concept, you know, trying to get revenge on them or whatever. And it's like, oh, Goku and company kind of suffer for the actions of their ancestors or their Saiyan or the Saiyan race. I think that's pretty cool. Dragon Ball Abridged did a special on based off this OVA. It was a Christmas special called Plan to Eradicate Christmas. It is hilarious. If you haven't seen it, I recommend this. It's super duper funny. And Hachiyak is Santa Claus. He's an evil Santa. It's so stupid, but it's super funny. But like I said, give this a watch on YouTube if you're interested. The game is not worth tracking down unless you just like those type of games. You can find a walkthrough on YouTube. But yeah, go give Plan to Eradicate the Saiyans a watch. Check it out. Oh, I forgot to mention, There are some similarities to like Baby Vegeta or Baby and Dr. Mew.